The High School Sports Beat is brought to you by Alfred State College, where within 6 months of graduating, an astonishing 99% are working or furthering their studies. At Alfred State, they stress project-based learning, where students work on real-world problems and learn how to think, not what to think. Visit alfredstate.edu.
Sports. It's who we are. It's what we do. It's how we roll. It's wins and losses, highs and lows. It's effort, respect, and dedication. The High School Sports Beat. Sports. It's who we are.
Hello everybody and welcome to the High School Sports Beat brought to you by Alfred State College. I'm Dave Yates. We begin our look at Section 5 sports this week with our opening story, brought to you by Sticky Lips Barbecue and Juke Joint. Sticky Lips Barbecue Juke Joint, New York State's largest barbecue restaurant right here in Rochester. See our menu and live music calendar at StickyLipsBBQ.com. Sticky Lips BBQ, Jefferson Road in Henrietta. We're taking a look this week at a couple of Section 5 finals at the Big House, beginning with the B1 Boys Final between Geneva and Waterloo. Here's Paul Gotham.
The 2020 Section 5 Class B1 Championship game pitted Finger Lakes East foes Geneva and Waterloo. Top-seeded Geneva came into the game with a record of 18 wins and 4 losses. The Panthers had won 4 straight, including a dominant performance over Hornell in the semis. Waterloo, the number 3 seed, the Indians had won 10 of 11 and edged Newark 4 days earlier 51-49. Waterloo's only loss in the previous 6 weeks was a 4-point setback to Geneva.
We knew that they were very hot from 3, and that was our win or go home kind of mentality that they were coming in. We knew we had to box out because they're just as big as us, but we knew that we could handle them if we played at our pace, fast pace and all that.
Hard work, had to work. That's it, man. That's it. I had to work.
We have to guard them. They have 5 kids that can shoot, so we can't ever relax, and you saw it there late, they hit a couple threes and we relaxed and we can't do it, and usually we bring intensity every game, so I knew we could do that.
Parker Bassard and Liam Ryan paced Geneva early, as the Panthers took a 17-11 lead going into the second quarter. Waterloo's Michael Hubbard scored twice in the early part of the second stanza. Geneva did not surrender the lead and used a 12-4 run to open the second half to take its largest advantage of the game at 40-29.
Well, I said in the locker room that, we let them hit that, that 3 just before half, and I hate that. And so I said we got to lock down. The defensive thing is we weren't scoring like we did the other night against Hornell. We weren't getting what we wanted. So I told them we had to amp it up on defense and keep them from scoring and hit a few buckets. And again, every time I ask these kids to do something, they've done it. And it's just a phenomenal group of kids. I love them to death.
Matt Desering said, our coach, he said, we need to really emphasize defense, help, box out, and that's how we're going to win the game, because if we let them get hot, it's going to be tough. But that's what Matt said. He said, help side. He knew we had to talk more. That was what we were working on all week, is talking, switches. We knew it would be loud in here, so we'd have to talk more.
Here
coming off a game where you scored 27 the other night.
Yeah.
Obviously, they were focused on what you were doing. How did you counter that out there today on the floor?
I knew they were going to come at me, so I know I had to play harder than I did last game.
He knew that he needed to score for us to win this game because he's been our leading scorer all year, and he knew that if he got double teamed down in the paint, we got shooters all over the court, he would pass it out to him, and he had confidence that they could make the three.
Waterloo again closed the gap.
I think they all were, battling. I think Devin Felber got a lot of rebounds for us, a lot. I think Johnny Lawrence sparked us off the bench too, hit some big shots, which I think helped, bring us back. I think Brian Oddie off the bench did a good job on the top of our press. And then we had Kyle Saluka was getting to the basket. Julian Ruiz, who has been our leader all year, is just, he had so much pressure on him today from the pressure, and I thought he handled it pretty well. And Mike Hubbard did a lot, knocking some shots down, getting some things inside. So I think we had a lot of guys step up at the end.
Martin scored 12 points, including a pair of free throws with 6.3 seconds remaining to seal the victory.
We discussed it all week that we knew they were going to try to take him away, double team him, whatever they had to do and do that. And so, we told him that he's going to have to fight through it. He's not going to have to lose his cool. He's going to have to play smart, and he does that. He just loves to play the game, and it's a great thing when you have a kid that's that athletic and can make plays for you. So, it makes my job easy.
B1 championship trophy to the Geneva Panthers.
From Blue Cross Arena, this is Paul Gotham for the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College.
Coming up next, Matt Trabold joins us for the Dunkin High School Notebook. We'll have that and more when the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College, continues.
When Girl Scout ingenuity meets Dunkin' coffee, you get a cup of can-do. Girl Scout cookie-inspired flavors are at Dunkin'. Try Thin Mints and Coconut Caramel today and get a medium latte or cappuccino for $2 from 2 to 6 p.m. America runs on Dunkin'.
Hello everybody, and welcome back once again to the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College. I'm Dave Yates. It is time now for the High School Notebook, brought to you by Dunkin'. America runs on Dunkin'. And once again this week, we are pleased to be joined by Matt Trabold. Matt, thanks for stopping by.
Thanks for bringing me on.
Of course, Matt, the one thing that we have to talk about and really don't want to is the virus that is sweeping throughout the world and is causing havoc with so many people's lives. And of course, it is impacting the high school sports scene.
Yeah, right now, the high school sports scene, really the sports scene around the world, like you said a second ago, is just on hold for the second. And you obviously understand the decision, but you also really have to feel sympathy for these college players, for these high school players, so on and so forth, that their dream, their livelihood in a certain degree when you go to the pro level. But I mean, the love of the game of the high school kids is really just put on hold right now, and you have to feel for them.
Well, that's the thing. When this first started happening, I don't think we ever really foresaw it going to this extent. And, I think about the seniors who are going to play those spring sports, or the ones in the winter that didn't get to play for a state championship, and the opportunities that they've missed out on. I mean, it's pales in comparison to the larger picture, but at the same time, it is something to take into consideration.
And it's two sides of it. I mean, you have the winter sports, like you said a second ago. They are in maybe the most important part of their season, and they're seeing it end. So that's obviously a very sad situation going on there. And then for the spring sports kids, now obviously you're going to have some crossover athletes with that kind of stuff, but it's just having maybe it taken away. It's not been taken away fully just yet. Right now it's suspended as opposed to completely canceled, the spring sports season, but the possibility of having it taken away before it even gets going as well is also a really bad thing.
Well, let's change topics for a little bit and talk about some of the things that were able to get finished before everything got brought to a screeching halt. And let's talk about Penn State hockey, a team that had some Section 5 contributors and do some great things.
Yeah, absolutely. You're talking about the regular season, because the end of the college hockey season had become cut short and of everything. Unfortunate with that going on. But the successes of the season that did happen, the parts of it that did happen, are still successes regardless of the premature end. Penn State men's hockey in a stacked Big Ten. They win the regular season crown with a couple of Rochesterians having a big role on the team. Senior Nate Sucese from Fairport, he leads the team in points in this season and also was top 20 nationally in points per game. And then you have in the regular season finale at home versus ranked Minnesota in a game where the Nittany Lions really needed a win in order to seal the deal in the conference for that regular season crown. They found themselves in the third period down 2-1, but then in pretty miraculous fashion, even with them being the more highly regarded team in the matchup and in the conference, in 31 seconds, just 31 seconds, they scored 2 goals to win the game. The game winner is scored by a freshman who had only come into that game with 1 goal on the season so far. He's a former Penfield Patriot, Kevin Wall. So big story there, very opportune time to have that second goal. And another interesting tidbit is the way the NCAA tournament works in college men's hockey. They would have hosted, regardless of what seed they were given, hosted one of the NCAA tournament regionals in Allentown, Pennsylvania. So still, regardless of everything that came about with coronavirus, still very successful go of it.
Great to see. And closer to home now, the Brockport Golden Eagles, another successful year, and once again, some Section 5 contributors.
Yeah, so before college basketball was cut short, kind of like I was talking about a second ago with college hockey, you saw the Brockport men, they got all the way of the D3 tournament to the Sweet 16 with a couple wins in a couple days at home there in their arena. And it's a really good thing to see because you mentioned a second ago the local connections. Justin Summers probably the top option on the team, not a Section 5 kid, but in the pair of postseason games, you saw a few Section 5 products really play a big role, really show out in that pair of games in consecutive days against Coast Guard and the next day against Middlebury to get to the Sweet 16. You had from Leadership Academy Devontae Hagens. He went for a combined 28 points and 22 rebounds, had a double-double in there. And then Tyler Collins from Newark, the point guard, he had 16 assists and even better, 31 points. And they really were efficient shooters through that short stretch of important games. And you throw in there a little bit of a younger player from really across the street at Brockport High School, Antonio Alvarez against Coast Guard. In the Friday matchup, he went for double figures as well. It's really good to see.
Yeah, it's really nice to see. Well, hopefully we'll have something more to talk about sooner rather than later. Matt, thanks for joining us once again. We're back with more of the High School Sports Beat brought to you by Alfred State College right after this. Coming up next, the Making the Grade nominee with Kyle O'Gara, and later 2 Irondequoit teams battle for the Class A boys title. Well, the story of Eastridge versus West when the High School Sports Beat brought to you by Alfred State College continues.
Welcome back, and thank you for watching the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College. Hit the ground running at alfredstate.edu. I'm Kyle O'Gara.
Making the grade this week is Spencerport senior Jansen McNair. Jansen plays football, swims, and runs track and field for the Rangers. In addition to playing 3 sports, Jansen is a member of the jazz band, concert band, pep band, chess club, and robotics team. In the classroom, Jansen has a 96% average and is a member of the National Honor Society. Outside of school, Jansen is a lifeguard, cashier, and volunteer within his community. Jansen is described by coaches as a model student athlete and is an outstanding representation of what it means to be a Spencerport Ranger. This week, Jansen McNair is making the grade.
If you have a student in mind for our Making the Grade segment, we want your nominations. Send them into mtg@rocksportsnow.com. And now here's Dave of the McArdle Section 5 Spotlight.
Well, thanks, Kyle. Here are some of the athletes, teams, and coaches making news in this week's Section 5 Spotlight, brought to you by McArdle's in Fairport. Come home to McArdle's.
McArdle's is open for takeout and delivery with DoorDash and Grubhub every day of the week. Visit our website, eat@mcardles.com.
State champions were crowned in track and field, and Section 5 took home 2 titles, with Hilton's Anaya Dees winning the long jump championship, her 2nd straight gold medal. Webster Thomas's Monique Hardy made it 3 in a row when she won the New York State weight throw gold medal. Monique beat the closest competitor by almost 7 feet. And finally, Hilton grad Lou Dupre took home the EIWA championship at 184 pounds for Binghamton. Dupre is a redshirt sophomore and only the second Bearcat to win an EIWA trophy. Well, coming up next, the Eagles and Lancers clash one last time to determine the Class A1 title. We'll have that story when the high school sports beat, brought to you by Alfred State College, returns.
And now to Eichel. He floated one. Score!
Hello and welcome back once again to the High School Sports Beat, brought to you by Alfred State College. I'm Dave Yates. The last time they played each other, the Irondequoit Eagles beat the Eastridge Lancers in a battle for bragging rights. This time there was a lot more at stake, the Class A1 brick. In 1964, the Rolling Stones released their debut album. Since then, I think it's safe to say that the Eastridge basketball team hadn't been able to get no satisfaction. That was the last time the Lancers took home a sectional championship, and if they wanted to end that drought, it would have to come against crosstown rivals Irondequoit, a team that had won 3 of the last 4 titles, was the top seed, and had already beaten them earlier in the season. Behind a quick and smothering defense and the big game playmaking of MVP Tony Arnold, they were able to end the drought with a 52-43 win.
It feels great. You know, it's been a long time. We haven't really focused on it much this year. The time, we're just about getting this sectional championship. Not how long it's been, but this is kind of just our time to get a championship for Eastridge. So it feels great to get the, I guess, the monkey off the back a little bit. And now we're just happy to get the W and go on to the next team.
It's more special, mostly because we lost to them before, and we didn't hang our heads. We went right back to practice the next day and told ourselves it wouldn't happen again. So we knew we'll see them again no matter where it would be in sectionals, but it happened to be the championship, so it felt great tonight.
Despite coming up short this time around, Irondequoit coach Chris Carden had nothing but praise for his squad.
Yeah, they've been fighters all year, and we knew it was going to be a real fight tonight. Not in a bad way, but just Eastridge is just really, really tough. They're tough. They play good defense. Dan does a great job with them, and they buckle down and they get after it.
The Lancers knew they would have to get after it, especially late in the game when they went 6 straight possessions without scoring and saw their lead evaporate. But they didn't fold. Instead, they closed the game with a 13-3 run to put this one away.
I had confidence in the kids, and I knew they were going to come through in the end. I mean, all the kids just stepped up, made the plays we needed to. Obviously, with them taking the lead, our senior leadership kind of just took over, honestly. The seniors came through when they needed to, and Michael hit a huge shot. I know he's a junior. He hit a huge shot down the stretch. It was a few huge in the first half, so kids just made the plays.
One of those guys making the plays was Percy Robinson, who was able to get on the receiving end of a couple of lobs from Arnold and make game-changing plays.
Last game I caught a couple of them, so I told him in the timeout, my coach called the timeout, I told him to throw it and I'll catch it. And I just went up and got it.
Last game he was great. This game was even better. I told him he's the X factor because you know what you're getting out of me and the rest of the guys. So with him, you never know. He can dunk on you, and he can play defense, he can rebound, so you never know what night he's going to have. He's been great, and honestly, I think he's one of the biggest reasons we won a championship. So if it was me, I would have gave him the MVP.
This group of Lancers has been through the lows before hitting the highest of highs. 4 years ago, the core of this team suffered through a 2-19 season, and now here they are, sectional champs.
It's cliche, but hard work pays off. It feels great because coming from 2-19 to sectional championship, it feels crazy. I know our coach wanted this really bad. The players wanted it. The community wanted it. So it felt good being our rivals tonight.
I mean, this group, I said it before, we've been building this group for 4 years to kind of get to this point. And, Tony, Jalen, Sharon, they've been around for 4 years, basically. Percy, Paxton, they didn't even play that much last year. But they stepped in and, it's look what they've done. So it's super special. We went 2-19 4 years ago. To go from there, what all the kids went through that season, and now getting the sectional championship feels great.
For Wes, the message for the team was a simple one, but one that came right from the heart.
my son's headstone, it says life has changed, not ended. And that's what I told him. Your life has changed, but it's not ended. Once an Eagle, always an Eagle. And I won't say nice, but the one thing is, kept the championship in Irondequoit. So I hope, Eastridge has a great game with East High, represents us well, and I think they will.
The Lancers went out to face East and came up short in the state qualifier against the Eagles. Not the way they wanted to see their season end, but after 56 years without a title, there was still plenty to be proud of. We'd like to thank our sponsors, especially Alfred State College, for making the Sports Beat possible. We'd also like to thank the athletes, teams, and coaches in Section 5. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next week for part 1 of our Best of the Winter Sports Season. Please take care and be safe.